Okay, my friends at Explain for Beginners on Facebook, they've been wondering about how to use the overlay editor to add things or remove things from airports, remove trees from runways, add buildings, and all that kind of stuff. And this little ortho overlay editor right up here, I've added a shortcut to my desktop, is the greatest little tool for doing that. Now, you can't really build airports with it, because it doesn't build runways or move runways. You need World Editor for that, and that thing is a little above my pay grade. I'm not that techie on it, so I can't figure it out, but I can figure out how to use this. It's pretty simple. So the Aberdeen Airport, EGPD, I'm going to add some oil rigs out in the bay out beside it, because there's a bunch of oil rigs up there. And to show you a few other things you can do with it when you're using this program. So we'll get started. So I'll open up the overlay editor, and we'll wait for it to load up. It takes a minute or two to load up here. So it loads all the default airports and then all your custom sceneries too. And then there's a few little keys on it you have to know, but they're pretty simple. They're not difficult to learn. So we'll get started up here in a minute. I'll show you what you can do once that thing gets started. Now I can move it over. And get it loaded up. Now there's two things this thing does. You can work on default airports. You can do a little bit with them. And you can do, I usually do it with my custom sceneries. That's mostly what I work on, because custom scenery, if you've got Ortho 4XP, you can see the Ortho 4XP under the airport. So if you see a building that's in Ortho 4XP that just looks like a photo, you can actually put a building on top of it. You want to do that kind of stuff. And you can remove trees from the runway somewhat. I've had some success with that. And you can add static airplanes to the airports, and you can add flyby airplanes. So if you want some airplanes in the sky flying around in the area, you can do that too. So I'll show you a few of those tricks. First of all, if you want to work on default airports, that's what this thing is for. This is all your default airports, this little world. Click on there. This side, it gives you all the airports by the code, the name, like KBOS for Boston, KLAX for LA. And over here you can go by name, Los Angeles, Boston, whatever, right? That's if you want to work on the default airports. But we're going to work on the custom scenery, which is this folder right over here. So you click on the custom, well, I should say too, if you work on a default scenery, when you're done you got to give it a name. Let's say add some buildings to Boston, KBOS. So in default it's called KBOS, but in here, name a scenery package, you'd write KBOS new buildings. And then when you click OK, it will automatically put it in your custom scenery folder. But you don't need that for working on custom scenery. So we'll open up the custom scenery, and I'll find EGPD, which is Aberdeen, the one I'm going to work on. EGPD, here we go, right here. So now I'll open that, and then we can get going on it, and I can show you what you can do with it, and what I usually use it for. And I'll tell you about the different keys, what keys you use to work on it, because once you know all the keys, it's pretty good. You load the airports, and I think it loads the terrain after that. And like I say, if you've already got Ortho 4XP for this area, you'll see the Ortho 4XP under the airplane. Or pardon me, under the airport. What am I talking about? I'm losing my mind here. Happens when you get old. You start to forget things. Okay, there's the airport. That's Aberdeen, Scotland. And now, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the page up key. The page up key and the page down key. Right now, you're not looking straight above that airport. You're on an angle. But if you hit the page up key, you can make it go flat. and you can get right above it. Page down, you can tilt it again. See, you can tilt it. Page up, get right above it, which is what you want to do. And use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out. So there you go. So these lines, if you want to know what those lines are, you just click on the line. Like here, we'll click on this green one. That's a tree. So you put a tree there. And this little red one over here, I click on that. That's a bunch of parked cars. Little red one over here, that's some pavement. It tells you right up here what it is. And you got a picture down below in this box showing you a picture of what it is. There's more parked cars. See, element, row of 10 parked cars. You can go row 2, row 4. I'll click over here. Pavement, concrete, more trees. Now you see if I zoom in, you can see these airplanes. They don't show up because they're in the default scenery. The guy probably used ortho to build this airport, but they're actually, these airplanes are actually underneath the pavement. So when you start the game, you won't see the airplanes, you'll just see the pavement. But it shows you where they are. So if you want to put a static airplane in here, right? So that when you're in the airport, you can see some static airplanes. You go up here into the search window, you type aircraft. Hit enter. You don't even have to hit enter, they'll just pop up. So here's all your airplanes and all the different liveries. That's the letter. See, this is Air Canada. If you click on it, you see a picture below. Air Canada Jazz. Okay, so we'll go down. I'm going to put a Lufthansa there because that's Scotland. I want to put a or maybe I'll put an SAS. That's Sweden. He flew over from Scandinavia. So now if you look real close on the map, right in the center there's a red dot. See it right there? Red dot. That's where it'll appear when you add it. So we'll go SAS and we'll add it. And see, it appeared right over the red dot. And the reason for that is when it's over the red dot, use your Q and your E keys, you can turn it. See, it's turning. Now I'll show you what happens if it's not over the red dot. We'll hold the left mouse button down and you can move it by holding the left mouse button down. See, I'll put it over here. Now what happens when I hit the Q key? See how it turns? It's pretty awkward to get it to where you want it. So I'll hold the left mouse button down, I'll grab it and I'll drag it over the red dot again. Now I can turn it. I gotta get it just about right, like for that. And then I'll drag it over here and I'll put it on top. And I click anywhere there, it's white. Now when I start the game, I'm going to see that parked airplane. Now I'm going to zoom out again with the mouse wheel. So I want to put some oil rigs in the lake or in the bay, but I can't put them here because they'll be too close to the shoreline. Now you use your left and your right and your up and your down arrows to move the map. And I want to put them over here somewhere, but I've got to be able to see the water. So what happens with this line, this ortho overlay just kind of shows you little tiles. See, if I zoom way out, that's just a little tile, right? But I want to put the oil rigs over here somewhere, kind of away from the shoreline a little bit. So I'll just use my right mouse arrow or my right arrow, keyboard arrow. Now when I'm moving out, once this line goes past 50%, goes past that red dot, it'll switch over to this side. Watch. See the red dot? It's coming over. Once I cross over the red dot, now we're over here. Now I can also move the map by holding on the left edge of the picture. So I want to put my oil rigs out here somewhere. So I'll zoom closer to the water. And up in here, I'll type oil rigs. Oil rig. Now there's only one available, so you don't really have a lot of choice. But we'll use this one anyway. And that's what it looks like. So I'll click on the green plus, and green plus will put it right there. I can zoom in on it now. And I'll put it over the red dot. Now if you look real close, you see the landing pad for the helicopters facing north. I wanted to face to the shoreline so I don't have to fly around and come around this way. So once I got it zoomed in so I can see it, I'll use the Q key and I'll turn it. I'll turn it so the helicopter pad's facing the shoreline. And I'll zoom back out with the mouse wheel. And I'll move the dot down here somewhere. And I'll put in another one. I click plus again. Adds another one. I'll turn that one kind of on an angle. And now I'm going to move one a little bit farther away from shore, so I'll put it over here somewhere. I'll put it up a little higher, kind of in between the two of them. I'll zoom in so I can see it. Click on it. Now maybe I'll make that one so that I do have to swing around to the other side. So I'll use the E key and I'll turn it to the right. I've got to come in that way. So there, I've got my 3 oil rigs all in the oil field here. Now I'll go back to the airport, show you another little trick. Once it crosses the red dot, it'll go back to the other tile. There. And zoom in. Now, people were asking about how do you remove trees. Now, I don't have to worry about this one because this one's okay, but I'll show you how you do it. I want to keep the trees over here. I say I like the trees over here, and I like the trees in the town, but I don't like them on my airport. So what you do is on search results, you go right to the bottom and you see this thing called exclusions. You click on exclusions. Now this sometimes gets rid of the trees and sometimes it doesn't, but you click on forests, and when that's highlighted forest, you click the plus sign and it'll make this box. Now you might have to make a couple boxes because it doesn't turn with the map. It only goes up and down, so it doesn't matter what you do, it's always up and down. And now I can resize it so it just covers the runways, right? And I can resize it. And get all the runway covered. So there, all my runways are covered. Click over here, it'll go red. Now when I close this, that will remove all, it says exclude forest right here. That will remove most of the trees inside this box. But sometimes it doesn't remove all of them, because sometimes the trees, for some reason, somebody puts a tree in there as an object. So, oh, I gotta delete that. So you click the red X to delete it. Now the one that I've added, I don't need it. So I click on here and I click the red X to take it out. Okay, so we've done that. So there might be some objects, trees as objects, so you have to be more careful with this. So you click there, remove objects. So you don't want to remove the buildings because it'll remove every object that's inside this box. So you gotta just make sure you got the runway covered, and that's it. So there's one box. So then you'll have to add another box, remove objects. Making sure you don't cover any of the buildings. And There's another box. But then you can use the, you see if you use the keys to turn the map, it'll turn the box too, so you can't really realign the box. So you got to make a whole bunch of little boxes. See? So there, exclude objects in there. You just go through that whole thing up and down the runway, and you get rid of whatever's on the runway, you'll get rid of it. But I don't need it, so I'm going to get rid of it. I'll click the red X, get rid of it. Delete it. Delete it. Delete it. Okay, now buildings. Okay, here's some buildings over here. I can do this with one building, let's say. Here's a little building right here, eh? You want to add that building, right? Go up here and I'll type buildings. And you get all these buildings. You get a whole bunch of garbage. You get stuff like that, like that, like that. Wow. There's one that looks pretty good. That one might fit on here. Let's see how big it is when I add it. It's pretty small. I'll delete that. You got to go through when you find something that works. I'll slide all the way down here and see what else we got here. Houses. How big is this thing? So you add them. You just got to keep them. That's pretty small too. So a lot of buildings, you get some facades, eh, that you. Well, here I can stick a couple containers in here, so. Let's say this yard here has a couple containers. Find a nice orange one. Right there. So we'll add those containers. Click them there. And I'll turn them sideways. And I'll slide them down here, so this parking lot's going to have some containers. And that's all there is to it. You're back off. Now, those are pretty much most of the tips. How to get rid of trees and objects off your runway, how to add buildings and stuff. And that's pretty much it. Let's see if I can get a warehouse. Or terminal, maybe I can get a terminal. All kinds of stuff you can add. That building there looks very similar to this building over here. Or this building here, so I'll turn it. And that's how you find something that fits. Now when you close it, it'll just say, do you want to save the changes? Yes. And everything you've changed on this, now I'm going to have oil rigs in the water. I'm going to have that airplane at the airport. I'm going to have those buildings. And that's all there is to it. Hope that helps.